How are you all doing
Hello,
today?
everyone. We're okay. We're live.
Oh, crap. Sorry.
We're off to a wonderful, wonderful start. Hello, everyone. My name is Regine L.
Hey.
Sawyer, and I am the coordinator and founder of the Women in Comics Collective International. I'm also the publisher and writer over at Lock It Down Productions. And this is the Comic Book Spectrum. This is an ongoing series that we do at Women in Comics when we have our convention, Women in Comics Con. And today's subject is Black women in comics. So we're going to start with introducing our amazing guests. They're going to introduce themselves, and we're going to start with Barbara.
Aha. Hello. So I'm Barbara. I'm Barbara Brandon Croft. I'm a cartoonist. I thank you, Regine, for always including me in this, and I really appreciate it being a part of this. And I'm especially happy to be on this panel. This is really very cool. So I started. I'm a cartoonist. I was the first Black woman to be nationally syndicated in the mainstream press. But that is so, that is not to be confused with the late, great Jackie Orms, who was the first Black woman to be doing cartoons, comic strips in newspapers. She was in the Black papers. My distinction is I made it in the mainstream press, which is a euphemism for the white press. So they recognized me, and here I am. And I was syndicated through Universal Press Syndicate for 14 years. And my strip was called Where I'm Coming From. I think that's
it. Is. We'll talk about the new comics you've been doing, the new cartoon.
Yeah. I mean, the syndication ended in 2005, and there was a long time I wasn't doing anything. But these times have made me feel compelled. So I'm back to the board, and I've been doing them, and not having a venue really. I've just started discovering Instagram, so I'm putting my stuff up, so y'all can check it out. Yay!
So our next guest is Micheline.
Hi, just unmuted myself. It's Micheline S. I am a designer by trade and illustrator, and I am known for such books as Malice in Ovenland, the Anansi Kids Club, and the All Saints Day Adventure, and most recently, Diary of a Mad Black Werewolf. I love writing and illustrating my own stories, and I love making them stories about Afro-Caribbean culture and things that deal with social issues. And I also love sculpting and creating art in VR these days. Hi.
Nice.
Awesome. And last but certainly not least, Steph I. Will.
Hi, I am Stephanie Williams. I am a freelance writer and also a comic creator now, which is really fun to say. Where would you know me from? Tweets and also some of my writings from Sci-Fi Fangirls. Most recently, a fan comic that I had kickstarted called Living Heroes was fully funded and is now available to read. I'm pretty sure there'll be info on how to get to that after this. What else? I'm just really happy to be here, especially among some greats that I've looked up to for a long time. So I'm, happy to be at this table.
Yeah. So again, welcome to everyone. And we may be joined by Aletha E. Martinez. She is an amazing artist. She's the first woman of color, period, to work on lead books for both Marvel and DC. And she's up to her eyeballs in deadlines right now. But she may be joining us later because she really wanted to be here with everyone. So we're just going to jump into it. So my first question is, the comic book industry has been steadily changing throughout the years, especially when it comes to representation and inclusion. What more do you think should be done in that regard? What changes would you like to see?
That's a loaded question. Because the answer would be everything.
Yeah.
Just because, as I am finding that, representation on the books is just fine, but behind the scenes, be it writers, artists, colorists, editors, all of that is just so, so important. And I want to see more of that. So we don't get, foolish things that we sometimes get, or get more than we should from the bigger two, but also just more support of indie creators as well, in their original creations, because they are doing some amazing things, myself included. So let me not.
That's right. That's right.
I think that there's a lot that I think well, like you were saying, is getting better. And I think that there's still a need for an organization like Women in Comics, because at the end of the day, it's like CMB, we all we got. So while I have also to say that there have been men that I've encountered along this journey that have been really supportive and have helped me in different ways. I also would like to see in this industry a situation where there are more men calling out other men on their behavior, either, if it's in the capacity of hiring, of treatment, and just kind of being a little more self-aware about the kinds of things they say around conventions and things like that. I think there's a lot of still internalized bias that needs to be dealt with.
I mean, Barbara, you've been doing this for a long time. Like, even if it's on and off, you've been doing it for a long time. So, I mean, is there anything that's the same, since you've been doing it, that you're just like, this hasn't changed yet, even in the midst of a pandemic and all this foolishness?
It's interesting because some things have changed, and this is what's encouraging to me. And one of the things that has changed is that when I was, like the first one, I was the only one, and I remain the only one. And so if you feel like, here I am, I was, they say you're knocking down the door. I'm like, yes, I am standing in the door. I am clogging the door. They're not letting anybody else in because I'm here. And it just seems so unfair, so it's encouraging to me to see that by our own might, we are coming out, and there are so many more women out there that are doing what we weren't recognized to be doing for such a long time. So, that's my optimistic look. I mean, but hey, things are still very much the same in so many other ways. But that's my, more positive spin, for me to look at it. That's something to me.
Are you still the only Black woman cartoonist that's been in syndication?
No. Okay. I'm not. There you go.
Like my heart went like.
Her name is Bianca. I want to say it starts with an X. Eunice. I can't really say her name, but I've met her, and I've been on panels with her, and she made the second one. She's with King Features, but newspaper syndicates are dying, but she's hitting and holding. And there's another young Black woman who's, doing comics for the New Yorker. What? The New Yorker never recognized us, as cartoonists. They paid me one time, but they didn't print my comic. It's like, I took the check. It was okay.
Always take the check.
Always take the check.
So, with all of this said, in all of your opinions, have the calls to hire Black creatives during this time of racial unrest and the COVID-19 pandemic been helpful at all? Like, helpful financially, helpful branding wise and marketing wise and all that? Steph, I see your face.
Oh, well, I made that face because I was cleaning out my inbox during the week, and I had a bunch of emails that the conversation threads just evaporated once August came, as though Black people existing just totally went back to the back burner once August came. I want to say that no, I feel like it's been exhausting, because I've seen so many other creators, especially artists, putting themselves out for these calls and then nothing happening. And that's taxing to, one, trying to be vying for a spot and then all of a sudden still not get it because and the folks asking were being disingenuous about it. For myself personally, a tiny bit, enough to pay utility or whatever, but nothing major, as it was, being brought up or being mentioned to be like, oh yeah, we're paying attention to y'all now. So like, we're gonna let a bunch of you in the room, and I would be surprised if there were 2 or 3 of us there. So it's just been frustrating because it's like, we matter for like a hot second, and then all of a sudden it's no more. Then, February's coming around, so that's another opportunity.
We'll be back.
Right.
March, Women's History, we'll be back. That's my cycle of things noticing. I've always been popular in February and March. Yeah, but if I to pay my bills, I have a different job. I work in a magazine, and they are, we've got.
Aren't you the editor?
I'm the research director. Yes. And we've got to change things. We're going to rebrand. We're going to do this. They had two of us on the staff, 2 Black people on the staff. And they have been like all in us, it's like, oh, can we do this? And how about this? And, it's exhausting, like you said. And then when I don't see it come to fruition, I mean, they keep asking, what can we do? What can you do? I'm like, you can hire more Black editors. You can, if you don't understand, then you can't make it up. I can't teach it to you. You need to hire. And they're like, that's what we have to do. But we don't have the budget. I'm like, what are we talking about?
Don't ask me anything.
Yeah, like what? It's like we're spinning wheels. We're not really getting that far ahead, And like you say, news cycles change and the pendulum swings, and we're no longer, in focus. And it's upsetting. I'm taking off next week. I'm like, I need a break. And so that's why I'm so giddy today, I guess.
Wait, calling out Black. Black.
Yeah.
Micheline. Ooh, kitty.
I'm trying to get my cat's foot out of my face. I haven't really noticed much of a shift in comics, but then again, I typically, me, I tend to kind of just stay in my hole and kind of just grind away. I have noticed that there's been a shift in the interest that a lot of ad agencies have had. They seem to be creating more initiatives to at least get people on, with opportunities to work. But it's not a huge kind of tectonic shift. I think the one thing that COVID has allowed me to be able to do is to work on my own stuff, work on my stories more, work on my skills more. I've been very lucky, and there's also an ostensible amount of privilege in being able to have a situation where I'm working from home, and having the technology and stuff to be able to do what I need. So it's been possible for me to get work in VR creation. I was recently doing character design for a interactive VR experience called Liberty City, which is Liberty City was a city in Florida. It's like one of the first middle income sort of housing developments that was there, and it's gone through this whole cycle of kind of going down and then also coming up with gentrification and things like that. So like those kinds of experiences are things that I've been able to get because of the situation with COVID, because I had time and the opportunities to sit down and hone my own craft. That's where I've seen kind of the uptick and the change personally.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just wanted to just say that for me, it's sort of similar. Folks have reached out, and there was work that I was able to get, but there was also the flip side of people reaching out to me because I was a Black woman and figuring like, okay, all this stuff is happening with Black folks. Let's get Black people on these projects. And then the project becomes this thing where they want to tell their version of what they think the Black experience is. Exactly. When I say they, I'm talking about white folks.
That's right.
Like, they don't want your experience. So I actually had to leave a project because of that. And I was like, oh God, I'm leaving money on the floor. Like, leaving money on the floor. But then after that, another project came in, and I said, "Oh, well, this was meant. Thank you, Jesus." You know,
a lot of times they don't want your feedback either.
Yeah.
Like they bring you in, but then it's like, all right, you stay over there and be black, and I'm gonna kind of do what I want to do. And you're like, but don't you think? And they're like, oh, blah blah blah. You know, I've seen that kind of stuff like a lot.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I same thing.
Oh, and no, I was going to add also the types of projects. A lot of it has just been, hey, you want to talk about your trauma and get paid for it? And sometimes, no, I don't.
Yes.
I want to do something funny or joyful or goofy or whatever. That is very much still a part of the Black experience. And that's what some folks want to tell. It's what I want to tell. I don't, you know, sometimes I don't want to wallow around in trauma. I'm not saying that it's not important, but you know, when you're putting these calls out, when they've been putting these calls out, it's just like, hey, rehash this for the bare minimum. And also we're going to change it up a little bit because, you know, the truth hurts.
The way we see it. Yeah.
Like the more morose, the more depressing, the better. And that's the position that I was in. And I was like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. And the type of story that I wanted to do, you know, that was very much my experience, my ancestor experience, our experience as collective. That's not the story that was wanted. And I'm like, okay, you just want to wallow and immerse yourself, baptize yourself in our trauma. That's disgusting. I digress.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to make potions and like cast spells and other worlds, and, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or be a demon, whatever, you know.
Yeah, otherworldly. Yeah.
Exactly. So my next question is, and it kind of sort of piggybacks up what Micheline was talking about in regards to her work. How has the current pandemic affected your creativity and workflow?
I am writing stuff at like 3 a.m. or, you know, whenever it comes to me because everyone is at home. I have a 5-year-old, so I'm like, you know, like trying to do what I need to do with him and then also create at the same time. So looking on the brighter side of things, it's helped me find better ways of jotting down my ideas or being more patient. So if something comes to me, just because I can't fully actualize it doesn't mean that it's not a good idea or it's not worth exploring. I just need to come back to it. So I've been finding, I guess I hate to even say that it's a positive what we have going on right now, but it has been a positive for me in that way as a creative in being more patient with myself. And, you know, it's okay if you don't have anything to write today. It's okay if you just want to sit down and watch Living Single all day or just kind of be. That's all right. And it's okay to just not feel creative because it's hard. I mean, it's hard on a regular day basis, but especially this year, it's just been difficult, and that is okay.
Yeah. I find that I've been working from home since March for my job, which is a whole nother adjustment because, you know, it's in your house and you can't. I don't turn it off and on as easily as I used to do after a long train. You know, I come in the house, click. That's not what I'm doing. But what it has done is I do the same thing as you're doing. When I come up with an idea, I just write it down. I keep notebooks, you know, everywhere. And I have several strips that I'm trying to do. Now that I have a week off, I'm going to sit down and do them. And, you know, because my stuff is has a lot to do with the news and, you know, just social commentary. And the news is moving so fast that I'm like, some of these things that I'm going to do, it's almost obsolete. I'm like, I missed it. But I don't even care. I just want to get it out. So as a creative, I like that word. As a creative, I like the fact that I can put it all down at some point, and I have a setup to do it. I have my situation set up so that I can actually work again. And because of this situation, this pandemic and working from home, I had to figure it out, and I did figure it out. And it's been good. I mean, I think it's okay to find. I know it's an awful situation, this pandemic and all that, but and Regine and I were talking about this just a minute ago. It's just you got to find the positive things within there to make you to get through, because it's like it just keeps coming. It's never ending. You just keep
The hits
coming.
keep coming.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I would say as far as me.
I have to mirror Stephanie's comment about, giving yourself permission to just kind of be, just be. I was actually doing Inktober this year, and I came out of the gate like really strong, and then it was just like I just galloped off to the side of the track and over the fence and went back to the barn. And at first I was like, oh, wow, I'm kind of failing myself. And I was like, you know what? I still have the story, beginnings of it and things like that. I can come back to it later, but just really trying to give myself a break, and not always feeling like you have to, do the thing. Like sometimes you just don't have the spoons to do the thing, and just sit there and watch whatever stupidity on TV. And just kind of try to decompress that way, because there's a lot going on.
Yeah, exactly.
There is. Like you have to be a bit more, just sort of love on yourself more. Like, okay, I don't feel like it. That's it.
Yeah, that's true.
And honoring that. So that goes into my next question. Like, what are we doing for self-care? How are we practicing self-care? I'm seeing Stephanie.
Well,
like,
supporting Black business to the max. My favorite treat makers, because they've been coming through. So a lot of that, and really just respecting my boundaries, right? And not saying yes to everything, even if it means that I'm not going to get paid for it. I'm going to miss a check, but is the work really worth it? So it's been a lot of that, and really just, again, being really self-indulgent at times and sitting up and either watching something or, going outside or doing something as simple as playing Mario Kart with my son. Just little things like that, because he is getting into a lot of fandoms that I loved when I was younger. And it's been really fun for me during this time, because we're all at home, to go on that journey with him and just live vicariously through him. And it's really been helping out a ton. And it's also helped with my creativity too, because I'm watching him be so creative. We have paint days. We do that, and like little experiments and stuff like that. So just really, taking a breath, taking a step back and saying, okay, so what can I do today to bring myself joy? Is it taking a nap? Probably. It almost always is. Or is it, reading a romance novel? Is it reading comics? What is that? Let me do it and not feel guilty about it, because life is hard enough, especially as a Black person. And please know that your joy is also part of the revolution in itself. Don't ever forget that.
There you go. I like it.
Love it.
See what happens when, and I'm sober right now, so all the good words come to me.
Oh, and by the way, for anyone who's in the audience, feel free to ask a question. I'll get to them at the end of the panel, but I can see your comments, and big shout out to everyone that's in the chat box. Okay, Micheline, Barbara, what are we doing for self-care?
For a while I felt like self-care meant giving in to the 2 for $5 discount at Dwayne Reed for 2 family-sized bag of chips, and I was like, what is self-care? The real.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to ease back on that a little bit. I don't want it to cut it off completely, because I think that's actually kind of being mean to myself. But at the same time, like, having to stop halfway back from the grocery store on the way home and being like, man, I only have 1 bag. What the hell? I think for me also self-care is trying to work towards getting that balance. You know what I mean? So yeah, like remembering to get up and go outside and walk around. I started doing a zombie 5K training, Zombies Run. So you have this audio story where you're, running, trying to be a runner. And of course, I already twisted my knee running away from the zombie. I wasn't even there. Anyway, so thought that counts, right? I also think writing helps a lot, and spending time with my pets, and just kind of being a sponge, just sitting there. I really think I like that maybe even the best sometimes. Just looking out the window, feeling the breeze and yeah, just kind of taking it in. Yeah.
What am I doing? I haven't done it in a while, but it was good. I have a park that's at the end of my block, and it has a track, and it's I could just go down there and walk it. I have my play thing, what do you call it? Playlist. Yeah. I'm like, what is it called? But and I do that, and I would do that. I haven't done it in a while, and which reminds me, I need to get back because it just made a difference. With all the nonsense at work, I can just step away and go down and do that. But I live in a small house with my husband and my son, who's 22 now. He's
22.
He's 22. What?
Oh, I feel so old.
You. But he's a senior at NYU. But he's NYU is right in the living room. I'm like, what? But my husband's a musician. My son is a musician. I'm around creativity. I'm like, my husband's always practicing. You might hear him at any moment. And Chase is always making new songs and rapping about this, and I'm like, holy moly, sometimes I just want to just go to the park and walk around. No, it's a lot, but it's good. It's a good energy in the house, and it's a small house, and for 3 adults, it's pretty good. And just finding that focus, just realizing that instead of saying, oh, it's always so loud, and instead of seeing it that way, seeing it as there's a lot of really creative energy in here.
No attic?
Cool. And there's no attic.
Oh.
And the basement is full of instruments. I'm like, what? I have a corner in the kitchen. I was like, what?
You need a woman cave.
I need a woman cave. I do. I need to clear out the car and change that area so I can have a she shed. That's what the stink I need.
I was just saying that.
That's what I need. I've said it many times. They're sick of hearing me say that. I need a she shed. But it's okay. It's cool. It's cool.
Steph, are you going to say something?
No, I'm just, vibing, enjoying the good time. As you see, no, because I was going to also add, like, for self-care, I think the whole house might be LED lights now.
Uh-huh.
Good for you.
It's just nice.
You.
Yeah.
They're a really nice mood changer.
Yes. It looks good just looking at you. Yeah.
My house is pretty chaotic, but I don't know, like, I've been enjoying it because 2 years ago, getting up, going to the hospital to work and dealing with that chaos, and being at home and dealing with the chaos of, my husband working, my son doing whatever he's doing most of the time, which is everything. At times it's overwhelming, but most of them, like, it's nice. Like, I could be at the hospital is what I'm saying. Like, I could be dealing with that, which would be really horrendous right now. And yeah. I'm thankful that it's not me. So God bless everyone else that is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I resonate with that because I used to work in a hospital as well. And they go through so much. I mean, as an essential worker, you have to be there. You have to almost forsake your entire family for someone else's. And it's just that feeling of, oh my goodness. So now to be home and to not have to, it's like my prayers were always with them. And now it's even deeper because you what they go through. Yeah. But definitely for me, my self-care has been, and I've been posting on Instagram, my working pajamas. Like, I discovered working pajamas. I love it. I'm wearing working pajamas now. I love it. Just to be able to wear very, very comfortable clothes. I don't remember the last time I wore jeans.
Yeah, right.
My life is jumpsuits. My life is jumpsuits and stretch pants.
Yeah, yeah.
And I love
Oh,
and
yeah.
this where I'm sitting right now is my desk. Like, that's it. Or I'm out on my terrace when it's warm and then, write or whatever. And then I crochet. If anyone also follows my crochet stuff, like, I'm always crocheting, and it's just very meditative and relaxing. And I also do some fitness as well during the week. But it's so important just to look out for yourself and take care of yourself, especially as Black women. It's like, because sometimes it just feels like it never ends.
Right, because it doesn't.
Yeah. No PTO requests are always denied.
Yeah.
It's so true. It's so true. So my next question is, what are you excited about these days? Like, what books or multimedia are you looking forward to reading, seeing, or playing? Anything?
I'm actually looking forward to going back into Dragon Quest, which already came out a while ago, but I had to put it down because I was dealing with work and things like that. I find every time I pick up a game like that, I really have to sink in for like, a while and just like be back in a week. I have to go find the staff of, yeah. So I'm actually been looking forward to picking that up again. And I'm looking forward to learning how to animate in a VR program I discovered called Quill. For the longest time, I couldn't run it because I didn't have a PC. And anytime I would try to run 3D stuff on my Mac, it would just be like, so, I took money that I wasn't sure I should be putting towards this. And I got a decent PC set up. So I feel like I'm kind of on the threshold of exploring a lot more amazing things now that I have the ability to kind of run the software and do the, many calculations, etc. And I'm looking forward to what I create from that, the different ways of telling stories.
I think for me, it's been gaming. I've really gotten a chance to lean into that because I can do it uninterrupted now, which is nice. So it's been Mario Party, and I think we played together as a family, and somehow the 5-year-old won, which was very interesting.
I think you posted it. I posted a picture of him.
I did. I was very upset. I wanted to kick him out the house because no. It's like, how dare you? So it's been a lot of that. Legos. Again, like all of my stuff is kind of child related, but that's because I got that little 5-year-old. But Legos, it's been really fun to just kind of sit there and like make the little houses, make these cars, these limousines. I think together we made a limousine that turns into a jet. So we got that going on. There's a Mario Lego set that he got for his birthday, which is very fun because it's like the video game. Mario is fully automated. You collect coins. When the fire is hot, he makes that noise. He swims. He makes a noise for swimming. That's been fun. And just, I think I'm ready for the PS5. Don't know how we're going to get it because my husband missed that pre-order. So we had a very long conversation about that. And like, how are you messing this up? Because I want to play the new Spider-Man game with Miles Morales. So really leaning into gaming because that is something that was like first in my heart when I was younger. And, adulthood gets in the way. And sometimes you can't spend a whole 6 hours getting into Dragon Quest, which I love that game, or Monster Hunter, or any of that. But now I can. So sometimes I do. But it's a lot of, Mommy, can I play next? And it's like, no, you have a whole nother system. Please go to your room.
Like, I'm decapitating over here. Hey.
You beat us in Mario Party. I do not want to see you for like a week.
Oh, man. Oh, man. I've gotten a bunch of books on my Kindle that I haven't been reading. I put on my Kindle and suddenly I'm either playing solitaire or I'm watching something. It's like I start watching things instead of reading. But I have a bunch of books on my Kindle that I'm waiting to read. I want to read Cast. I want to read, what's her name, Jacqueline. She wrote The Warmth of Other Suns. It's just, the anti-racist, raising an anti-racist kid. I mean, all these things that as soon as I hear somebody talking about it on the TV, I'm like, on the TV, I sound like my mother. But seeing somebody say on the TV, I saw but seeing people, different authors talk about stuff, I'm like, I go and get it on my Kindle. I have a whole library of things that I used to read when I was on the train. I'm scared to go on the train now. I used to read when I was on the train or when I went to lunch at the office. And so I haven't found a time to read. I've just been, watching TV shows like Lovecraft. That's pretty damn good. I was like, oh, that was great. And so many things, so I've kind of done the veggie kind of thing, like just watching TV.
Me too.
Yeah.
I've been watching a lot of TV. I mean, since I've been, this is scarf season for me now. So I'm sitting here crocheting. Like, what do I need to watch? So I've been watching Lovecraft Country.
Yeah.
That was my little crack.
Yeah.
And then Mandalorian is coming up next. And so I'm also looking forward to that. And since it's been October, I've been watching a lot of horror movies, like some old stuff, some new things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Things I'm more familiar with because I don't want to get too scared in my house.
Yeah.
Because I will. But also some stuff that's been out but I didn't watch. Like I just streamed Evil. It was coming out. That is good. Right? It is so. It really. I don't know how CBS got away with having this on. Like it's very much a family-oriented channel. I mean, Evil is.
I have to check it out. I have not checked it out.
It's on Netflix.
Yeah.
And the next thing I'm probably going to check out is like Hellstrom. Also, Monsterland was very, very, very good. Very good. That's on Hulu. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. Is I've been crocheting my life away. But I've been enjoying it. So
that sounds great.
We have a few questions. So I'm actually going to go straight to those before we close out. So hey T, hope I'm pronouncing that properly. I'd be interested to know what kind of support you received from family, friends, getting started in the industry.
I actually would like to go first in answering that because I was just thinking of it the other day. So I used to work at the hospital, research scientist, microscopist. And after I had my son, I was off work for 3 months dealing with, new motherhood, postpartum depression, and all of that. And it kind of made me really lean into the stuff that I love, which was comics and just other fandoms. So I had started a little blog, just writing my little musings and stuff. And there would be this one person that would always comment. I was like, wow, they must really like my writing. So fast forward maybe 2-3 years later, I'm writing for Fangirls and getting into writing comics. And my husband says to me, like, do you remember that one user from your WordPress? I'm like, no, what are you talking about? He's like, that was me. He's like, I went and I created an account just so that you didn't feel like your words were going into the void and somebody was, paying attention to what you read. And
that is sweet.
I didn't
Black
know what
love
to
is
say.
so beautiful.
I really didn't know what to say in that moment because he has been so supportive because he produces music. So he's always been that creative one in our relationship. And now I'm like really, stepping into that myself. And just the other day, because I got some really huge news that I'm like trying not to like share, but telling him about it. And he's like, I'm so proud of you because I know it was a huge leap for you to be okay with not going back to work. I was laid off last year. It's been a full year and I've been doing the freelance thing. He's like, thank you for trusting me that I had your back. So you have to worry about, the financial stuff and for you to really put 110% into what you want to do because you've been grinding all this time and unhappy in something that, I know you were doing to, pay bills and survive, but it's been nice to like really see you blossom. So he's been my biggest support because I wouldn't be able to do half of this. I have a 5-year-old. So like people ask me, how do I find the time? It's because I have a partner here that is a partner. It's a work ethic and I'm able to do that. So of course, my son and then my family members have also been supportive, but like without them, I wouldn't be able to. And I know a lot of folks sometimes omit that and make it seem as though, they just have this secret cash flow somewhere, but this don't pay like that.
Like this is not Sex in the City, Carrie Bradshaw on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, paying $700 a month.
And there's no Carrie giving you an ugly
on a writer's salary. Get out of here. Right.
So So I have to bring that up because I would be remiss if I didn't. He has been a huge support.
That's great.
Oh,
Are you going to talk?
No, I didn't know whether I was muted or not. Go on.
Oh, I was just going to say that my dad was also a cartoonist, and one of the Pioneer Black cartoonists. He had a comic strip called Luther. So I grew up watching him. I mean, I was like, he was my physical, breathing role model in my house, and I actually didn't know that I was going to be a cartoonist. I mean, it kind of fell into it. But when I decided that I wanted to study art, they let me go to school. I went to Syracuse to study art. I just feel like there was one other Black person. Syracuse is a huge college. One other Black person that was a freshman with me in the School of Art. And I just feel that to have parents that would support you at that stage. I mean, it wasn't like, how are you going to make any money doing that? Because Lord knows I didn't make any money doing that. But it was like, it was just a whole nother way to approach life. And I really feel grateful to them for even encouraging me to do it, and never thought that that was something that they should turn me away from. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, I think that's I was also similarly lucky. My father got me into comics, although I don't think it was intentional on his part. I think he thought it was going to be just like inspiration, but it was basically like mainlining comics into my veins. Being back from his business trips, and finally he was like, "So we're not going to watch, cartoons anymore, right? You're too old for that." And I was like, "Yes, Father." Was my mom who really, I don't think she fancied me getting into comics per se, because I think she always saw the art side as something that's more relating to fine arts. But when I think about it, it's kind of awesome because being from the West Indies, she grew up in a generation that was all about having like a trade, like you're a teacher, you're a carpenter, or you're a doctor, like something that's kind of you can wrap your head around, and she's the one who got me my first art table, which I still have, and she brought that home on the subway, and one time I moved the table because I had to like clean a part on the floor, and I was like, damn, like she brought this home on the subway. Like she went down into the subway and
wow.
And I was like, wow. So yeah, though, like those are some of the strongest and a teacher I was lucky enough to have in middle school who helped me prepare my portfolio for the high school of music and art. She saw my potential, and she really showed me how to like mat my stuff and mount it and how to present it and create a proper portfolio. So yeah, I would definitely say that those are three of the biggest support systems I've had.
And I'll just chime in and say, like, my parents, they were always very supportive. My mother was a painter. And my father, he was a World War II vet from Alabama. He was like, you want to do what? Specifically when I wanted to be a chef. He did not want to see my Black behind in the kitchen. He didn't, but he supported it. And then once I decided, okay, I also want to do this writing thing and want to do comics. My mother was highly supportive. Like she went to conventions with me from the time I was 14 years old. She took me to my first convention and then just continued on as I took it on as a career. She was a con mom. She was definitely a con mom. So I was always grateful for that. And also my big brother would collect comic books with me. So we're a very nerdy family, and I was always so appreciative of that. So our next question is from Sunday Simon. Hey, Sunday Simon. Do you all feel like representation we are currently seeing in shows like Watchmen and Lovecraft Country will bleed into how we are represented in the general public? Will anything change for real?
That's a good one.
It's a good one.
And it's one I've been thinking about because of Watchmen and Lovecraft Country specifically, just because they both reached broader audiences. I guess what I do want to say is from an artist standpoint or just creator standpoint, I don't know if I feel comfortable with us having to be tasked with how outsiders see us. I think it's more so important that when we're creating these things, that it is like for us, like we're not having to explain all these things. And if somebody else that is non-Black gets it, great, but it's not really for them. So in terms of it changing how, or changing how the world sees us, the world's going to see us how they want to see us. It's not like we haven't been doing creative, wonderful, beautiful things prior to those shows. And we still have the crap happening to us that we do. So in that regard, I'm not sure. And I think the answer is probably no, because again, we've been doing amazing stuff and it hasn't changed people just wanting to be racist and terrible. So since that is just still going to be a thing, I think it's just really more important that these shows or the things that we're creating, that we have us in mind, and making sure that the stuff that we're creating, we're allowing the folks that look like us to feel represented. But worrying about whether or not it's going to change the minds of others, I don't know if I necessarily care to even deal with, because I feel like it impedes on the process. I don't want to have to explain to you why, making your superhero character have a whole bang slather in Ampro gel is a bad idea if she's fighting crime. That sweat goes into her eye. Guess what's happening? A bad time. So, that is just something I've been thinking about, and I don't even know if that answers the question, but I just don't know if I care too much about how we're being perceived by other folks that really have no intention of understanding us to begin with.
Anyone else want to chime in? Anyone add it? I think Stephanie kind of took it.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not much else. It's you get used to telling your story, telling my story, and expressing myself, and expressing what's going on, and telling stories that is essentially for Black people and Black women, in particularly from where I'm coming from. And you see people, look at what you're doing and say, well, I don't understand, or I think that's very violent, or, and say, well, I really wasn't telling my story for you. Well, we're going to boycott you. It's like, it's okay. We broke or whatever. Like, I'm not doing the story for you, so yeah, we're, we're not free, but we are free in this case to at the very least, tell our stories, and I think as many people as possible should be doing that, and now with the advent of the internet and, web comics, more technologies and more ability for people to be able to self-publish their stuff and have control over their content. It's a good time for that. It's a good time for people to be pouring themselves into their creation, their stories. You know what I'm saying? And changing. If you're not in a position to be able to change someone's mind, at least let other people know, other Black folk know that, like, yeah, I see you, you see me, like, we see each other, we're there for each other, our lives do matter, we are excellence, we are magical, and we are deserving of not being treated like a certain kind of, like freaking animals just for being in our home and eating ice cream, watching the TV, or walking into a store, or walking home from the store,
or sleeping in your bed, it's like,
sleeping in your bed. And it's just amazing to me. That's one of the things that really, to kind of go a little off tangent, is that you'll hear people say, well, she shouldn't have been married to a guy who was moving drugs, or Elijah McClain shouldn't have been wearing that head thing. What did he expect? Yeah. But it's like, how you're saying you're okay with this person being killed because they were under the influence of amphetamines or whatever, they brought it on themselves. And that is, that is the thing that really, I think, makes it clear in a lot of ways that there are people who are just never going to be open, and I'm tired of trying to convince other people of the humanity of Black people. So just telling the stories and, embracing that aspect of our own world, and celebrating it.
I'm saying that for me, doing a strip for 14 years for a syndicate, 4 white papers, You know, I was always a little bit of second guessing, you know, what I was going to say or how I was going to say what I was going to say. I didn't get too much blowback. Every once in a while they say, okay, whatever city doesn't want to run this because it sounds like you're talking about their mayor. It's like, sounds like the mayor should see himself. But, you know, and that was cool. But now that I have a different way of approaching my work, I can, you know, say whatever I want, however I want, you know, and I have been. And I'm like, I wonder, you know, some of the people at work will see it. They'll be like, ooh, Barbara. I'm like, yeah, ooh, Barbara. This is what I have to say. You know, I'm like, I can, you know, we have this with my, together with my dad's work and my work, we put together an exhibit that was Tara Donahue helped me put together this for her Medialia Gallery. Yes, yeah, Tara's my girl.
She's in the chat.
And,
she's in the chat.
Oh, she is? Okay. And we put together this exhibit. It's called Still, 6 Decades of Racism in America. And it just, the pandemic closed it down, but it got the attention of the Billie Ireland Museum. And we're in talks about bringing that exhibit out to Ohio because it's still happening and we still need to say it. And my father said it so well. And I didn't even know all of the, you know, that I would be echoing my dad that was talking about the same topics for 6 decades. And, you know, I got to break my arm, pat myself on the back, but it's really a stirring exhibit, you know, and I'm just proud of it. Yeah. So I feel free now. I feel more freedom now than I had back in the day.
So I think we have time for one more question, and I have a few people that asked the same question, so we're going to combine them. So Marcy Dalmatian and Religiously Nerdy asked about if you have any tips for folks, especially Black folks who are interested in working in comics, especially writing them, comics and graphic novels.
Get out of your own way. And I don't mean that in the financial sense, because, you know, that's a whole nother hurdle, but I mean it as in that idea that you want to write it down. Don't be fearful of how it's going to be received. I know that is way harder and easier said than done. But the point is that you deserve to tell your story, however it is that you want to tell it, because for me, at the end of the day, creating is, you know, about what is bringing me joy or what is it that I want to say. And in that authenticity of that, then it will resonate with someone. So don't worry about that. Don't worry about being, you know, timely, having to, you know, put trauma into whatever it is that you're working on. If it's relevant and you want to do that, do it. But don't ever feel as though you have to. It is okay to be joyful. It is okay to do goofy stuff. White people get to do it all the time. They get to make silly, unnecessary jokes all the time. So feel free to do that too. And collaborate with your peers, other artists, especially other Black women, because they're going to get your vision. Just, you know, get out of your own way. Don't be scared. And I know it's, again, easier said than done, but you will be amazed at what you're capable of when you just go ahead and say, I'm going to do it. It doesn't have to be perfect. I know that stops a lot of us. That stops me sometimes. It doesn't have to be perfect. Perfect may never come, but you might get close to it. But the point is that you did it, and you can learn from doing it.
And don't wait too long, because before you know it, you're going to be like, what's that now? It's a pen, you know? So yeah, believe me, time passes really surprisingly quickly sometimes. Yeah. Start today.
I would also say practice your craft. I mean, whatever you're interested in. So if you're interested in comics, you know, yes, read comics, but start doing some searches on how to write comics. There are books, like there's books by Peter David, writing for comics. There's books by Scott McCloud, Understanding Comics, Making Comics. Also, Alan Moore has a book about comic book making. There are also samples of comic book scripts on the web that you can play with and see what style works for you, because there's various different styles. I teach a class on my Patreon about writing comics. We're in, I guess we're in lesson 4 now, but there are these various different venues where you can learn, and there's interactive means as well. But whatever you're interested in doing, specifically in this for writing, it's out there. And also, I just wanted to answer a quick question about editors. In terms of finding an editor, I would say join writing groups. There are a lot of folks that write comics, write other things as well, but there are editors there. There are also, sometimes every once in a while you'll see folks talking about editing comics on Twitter. And there are some folks who are freelance editors. Like Joe Illidge is a freelance editor right now. I'm a freelance editor right now. Carol Burrell is a freelance editor. Like we're all Black folks. So we are out there, and from time to time there will be some type of hashtag like Black Comics Editors, and you'll see them pop up. But before they kick us out of here, we're going to ask everyone, where can everyone find you? Like, where can they find your work? What are your hashtags? What are your @? All the things.
I'm at www.mishmasharts.com, MICHMASHARTS, and that's also my Twitter and IG handle, with IG being my main lurking area.
I love that.
My primary lurking area.
You can find me at Steph_I_Will on Twitter and both Instagram. There, if you go to the bio, I actually use it the way that it's supposed to be used. And my link tree is there, and it has everything that I'm doing or have done. There is a website that is sitting, waiting for me to press live on it. I just haven't, because still a couple things that need to be done. But that's where you can find me and my work.
Yeah. I have not figured out how to make a website. That's, that's what happens.
Barbara.
What can I say? I can't, I'm old. What can I say? But I have discovered Instagram. I mean, IG. What? I just learned that today. I'm like, what? IG? Yeah. So but it's my name. It's not anything clever. It's like Barbara Brandon Croft, wherever the @ goes, or somewhere in there, and you could see maybe 7 of things that I've put up. But this week I will be putting up a lot more, because I'm working this week and I have some things to say. And let's see, that's where you can see me. If you're physically in Washington D.C., you can go to Library of Congress. They have some of my work. They have a box of my work at the Library of Congress. And if this, I think it's going to happen. If you're in Ohio, in the next year, you see it at the Billy Ireland. So that's when you're just a, physical person. But I'm going to get into this, web stuff. Oh, that sounds old. You know what I'm trying to say. I'm going to be there. But the Instagram, my name, that's all.
Well, you can find me at Lock It Down. That's LOCKETT down on Twitter. You can also find me on Instagram at Lock It Down Official. Also at Women in Comics NY on Twitter, and you'll find all the websites there and so forth. So if any of y'all who are in the chat box, you didn't get your questions answered, you can definitely take to Twitter and at some of us. And you can at, okay, Steph said no. Steph said no, don't at me.
It's okay.
Don't come at me, bro, or sis, or sibling. Don't come at me. But also, you can at me, and I'll tag some of the ladies in, and if they're so inclined, if they're so gracious and magnanimous enough to answer the question, they shall. So, but again, at Lock It Down, LOCKETT down. So thank you, ladies, for your time on a Saturday. Thank you so much. AFROCOMICCON.
Thank you
for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you for Wacom for sponsoring our panel. We appreciate you very much.
Absolutely.
How are you doing, Wacom?
Right? So
Anyway.
take care and be well, y'all. Bye.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.